We're going to share this and let everybody get in here. Tough one. Tough defeat tonight. We're going to let everybody get in here first, and then we'll start. Get everything set up here. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. LSU's defense gets shredded on third down, and LSU are the first offense to blink. Aiden Daniels gets knocked out of the game at one point when it's already decided, pretty much. Looks like it could be a broken jaw. And it was over. LSU controlled by Alabama tonight in that second half. And now the Tigers' season goals, season aspirations are all out the window. You know, this team can still accomplish a lot. This team could still find themselves in a New Year's Six Bowl. But we could have become the first two-loss team to make the college football playoff. We still had that opportunity for 2 seasons in a row right in our grasp. And last year we threw it away against A&M in a game that was kind of, in a way, scoreline-wise, just like this. And now this year, we go toe-to-toe against Alabama, and Nick Saban gets his revenge. Nick Saban gets his revenge. All the national analysts were right. LSU, Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors could not overcome that defense. And I'm not talking about Alabama's defense. They let Jaden Daniels put up like 300 combined yards on him in a half. I'm talking about LSU's defense. Yes, the signs at first early were really promising. And then everything went into a tailspin from there. You know, early in the game, you saw really nice pressure and quarterback hit from Braden Swinson, and then you saw a third down sack from Harold Perkins. And it fed the next drive, which was Jaden Daniels' 46-yard touchdown bomb to Malik Neighbors. It felt like Burrow to Chase from 2019 again. It felt like, here we go. This is what we needed. A third down sack from our defense. Harold Perkins looking good, looking active. Our defensive line getting penetration. Milroe looking a bit confused. This is great. And then our offense capitalizing. You're thinking this is the start to something good here, right? And then in about like a minute and a half, Jalen Milroe, boom, goes flying after our defense. Just like, you know, a lot of people were dismissing his rushing abilities, going, you can throw this whole week. And I'm like, sure, of course he can throw. But I kept saying he's going to find rushing lanes. through our defensive line without a guy like Mekhi Wingo, without Weeks on the field to have the speed to close that down. That wasn't out there. And you saw Jalen Milroe go off tonight for 4 rushing touchdowns against us. How many rushing yards did Jalen Milroe have? 155 rushing yards, 20 carries, 4 rushing touchdowns. He threw for the exact same yardage as Jaden Daniels, 219. Both with 15 completions. Jaden Daniels went off for 11 rushes, 163. He had that 30-yarder that was taken back by a penalty. And it was just, they killed us on third down tonight. 11 of 14 on third down from Alabama. And we could not get off the field. We came into this game wondering, what can LSU do defensively to hamper Alabama? Is it getting sacks? Early, you saw Paris Sean getting a sack. You saw Harold Perkins getting a sack. The signs were really good for that. Signs were really good for LSU getting penetration and making plays. But after that little bit, you saw nothing. You saw nothing. That defensive line was shredded, picked apart. Even though the offensive line for Alabama had problems, they worked this defensive line's hunger and devotion for sacks against them. We need to get sacks. We need to get sacks. And he just worked them. Climbed to the pocket and just picked a hole. And just went for 30, 40 yards, 20 yards at a time. Alabama rushes for 288 yards on LSU. And we were going into the game, everyone saying the DBs, oh my God, the DBs are going to get shredded. In our previews, what did we say? We were comfortable, actually, with the DBs that we had. It was the safeties and linebackers, because Omar Speights is trusted over Whit Weeks, because Major Burns has shown his limitations to his game, because Ryan Yates is not out there at safety. Andre Sam is missing tackles, doesn't have the speed to play in the SEC. You're seeing it. You just saw it get exposed. People can say Javian Toviano, Sage Ryan made mistakes. Sure, they made mistakes, but they were actually in there making the plays, trying to clean up the mess that was everywhere. This was all on the linebackers and safeties in this game, and their failure to do anything to stop this running game from Alabama, to stop this intermediary passing game. They let Jalen Milroe eat them alive. I didn't see much of Jalen Milroe making corners miss, making corners eat grass. It was all safeties, defensive linemen, linebackers being absolutely exposed. Omar Speights being in the game over a guy like Whit Weeks is an absolute atrocity. It's an absolute joke. We've seen what Whit Weeks can do in the SEC on the road. We don't need to wonder what that kid can do. And yet, it's like this, he can't have too much success too soon or something. We can't play this kid too soon. We can't let this kid get a big head. I don't know what it is. Because it makes no football sense to not play him. It hurts the team not to play Whit Weeks. You saw how much ground he could eat up, how much space he could devour with his speed. And you just saw Jalen Milroe gash us and gash us and gash us and gash us. We saw Jackson Dart do this to Omar Speights earlier this year, and Jackson Dart had some success when Weeks came into the game still, but it wasn't as much success as before. Instead of 15-yard gains, they were like 6. And it's not down to one player. Mason Smith was bad as well. He was exposed. There was some big whiffs from him. There was so many holes for Jalen Milroe to take his pick and just to take off. And it put so much pressure on LSU's offense. Because they're not going to stop him. We have to be perfect. And you saw, Jaden Daniels' pass gets batted by Dallas Turner, becomes an interception by Terrion Arnold, someone who LSU went after hard at the end of the Coach O era, but could not get in. Terrion Arnold with the interception, and then you saw LSU with some inexplicable penalties. 8 penalties, and they were all backbreakers. Huge holding calls, huge false starts. We had a few drops as well. There were some drops by some guys. Mason Taylor dropped one on 2nd and 17 that would have made it like 2nd and 6. Or sorry, 3rd and 6. And that was when it was still 28-35. Had LSU been able to match, maybe the defense gets something lucky on the next drive. Because our defense were able to have a few stops. There was the 1 3 and out early in the game, and then there was the holding them to the missed field goal. Other than that, nothing. You can't put that much pressure on Jaden Daniels. Alabama 4 of 4 in the red zone. Once again, LSU have allowed teams to go 100% scoring inside the red zone this season. 100% scoring inside the red zone on us. The streak of 500 total yard games was snapped at 478. Logan Diggs, 8 rushes for 24 yards. We pretty much abandoned running with him. Jaden Daniels, 11 carries, 163. He was incredible tonight. 219 passing, 2 touchdowns, had the sick bomb to Malik Neighbors, but it was when you're playing with a defense that is that porous, that injured. We miss Mekhi Wingo big time tonight up front. When you're missing these key guys, and when your defense is already poor, this is what happens when you play the best teams. You have to play perfect offensive football. And for the most part, they did. I mean, Malik Neighbors, 10 catches, 171 yards. He now becomes the 4th LSU Tiger receiver to eclipse 1,000 yards twice. And, 2 of these guys are unofficial. Wendell Davis and Tony Moss, because the NCAA didn't count bowl game statistics at the time, but they both eclipsed 1,000 yards in back-to-back seasons. And Malik Neighbors joins them. 10 catches, 171. He did all he could. Jaden Daniels did all he could. Broken jaw, most likely, and all. I mean, he did some things out there tonight running the football that were just special. But when you have a defense this bad, We couldn't cover anybody when we needed to. We couldn't stop anybody when we needed to. We couldn't get hands on Jalen Milroe, period. It was a tough watch. It was a tough watch because LSU, for that first half and part of that third quarter, were in a commanding spot. It was like we're trading shots, but this offense is the one that's really dominant here. If we can just get a stop, we can put this offense in pole position to go win this game. And it never happened. Jalen Milroe just kept answering, and then they took the lead. And they never looked back. Credit to Alabama's offense for outdueling LSU's offense. But really, this is all about LSU's defense putting so much pressure on this offense to be not only perfect, but like greatest of all time perfect. Every damn drive, or you're going to lose. And it goes right down to coaching. It goes right down to personnel choice. It goes right down to schematics. Matt House, I don't know. I don't know about Matt House right now. I don't know if he's the guy. I don't know if he should be fired. I don't know I know a lot of people have a lot of different opinions. I'm sure people will be posting in the comments section what those opinions are. Because someone has to answer for this, and I think it's got to be Matt House, obviously, because the neglect to play Whit Weeks, you continue to play Omar Speights when you know this is hurting your team. When you continue to put people on that field and keep people on that sidelines who have no business playing, and guys who should be out there. Deshaun Womack could have given you something tonight. He wasn't out there. Ryan Yates at safety, I think, would have been a lot better than what we saw from Major Burns or Andre Sam. Major Burns, he made some plays, so maybe just Andre Sam, really, because I didn't see anything from Sam tonight. Major Burns is at least flying around, but it's not good enough. It's not good enough. This defense is historically awful from LSU. And after a few games where we played two terrible offenses and everybody was, oh, yo, this is the defense. If we can just get a few stops. And I know we said it in one of our previews, but you can't just rely on your defense getting a few stops. You have to play good for a quarter or something. You have to be sustained with some type of quality defensively to help your offense. You can't just be like, hey, offense, go be perfect every single play. Go be unstoppable every single play, every single drive. I can't believe the pressure this defense puts on this offense to be. I mean, they have to be not only perfect, they have to be like beyond Joe Burrow 2019 offense for this team to win. And that tells you everything. We're not recruiting well enough defensively. We're not developing well enough defensively. All across the board, but really the safeties, the linebackers, the corners, the lack of defensive line depth. It's the strength or weakness of your recruiting always gets exposed in these kind of games. And I know people think recruiting is kind of a secondary thing, but no, this is what happens. You actually end up playing against guys that you tried everything to get on the recruiting trail or did nothing to get on the recruiting trail and could not get. Terrion Arnold, who had the interception against Jaden Daniels, there's one of them. There's one of the guys that we were going hard after we could not get. That was under Corey Raymond and Coach O. But what we've seen under Brian Kelly, recruiting-wise, has to pick up. Because I know we beat Alabama once, but now all those people can call it a fluke. They can call it just a lucky win because they can say this is the real Alabama. But this isn't the real LSU defense. This isn't LSU defense. This isn't anything our program is that should represent our program. This is heinous. It is beyond terrible defensively. It is scandalous. Wow, I think people have really taken this game pretty hard because I don't see much action in our comments section. I see some watching, but wow, our comment section's pretty dire. If anybody's actually watching this, let us know what you thought of this crazy game. Started off looking like LSU had a chance here in a shootout, in a crazy, wild shootout, but that's one thing that bothers me is seeing how many LSU fans are hiding because we lost. Like, what are you doing? Come join the conversation and talk about what happened, why it is unacceptable defensively. Wow. What kind of changes need to be made after a game like this? Who needs to go? Because this game exposed a lot about this defense. And we are soft defensively. We have been soft even last year. We had sequences where we looked like a really good LSU defense, an old-fashioned LSU defense. The Auburn game comes to mind. Um, patches against Ole Miss, but then once again, it's just like patches here and there where we were terrible in the first half, let them score like 17, 20, make a huge lead, and then the defense would play well in the second half or whatever, but it was like never full, complete games, wire to wire of defensive might, except for in the gimme games. And, you saw a good showing against Auburn. You saw a shutout against Army. But coming into this game, you had to be worried defensively. I wasn't so much worried about the defensive backfield as I was about who we trust at linebacker, on the defensive line, and at safety. And you saw all of them exposed. Of course, the corners were exposed as well tonight, but man, our safeties, our linebackers, and our defensive line were absolutely shredded tonight. Just put in a put in an industrial shredder and just fed into the turbine. Absolutely worked us. Absolutely worked us. Malik Neighbors does become the fourth LSU Tiger receiver to eclipse 1,000 yards in back-to-back seasons, which is an incredible accomplishment and deserves to be talked about and discussed. But man. Let's get into some of the game film here. Some of these are more of the offensive highlights, not as much of the defensive lowlights, but can't film everything. But yeah, here we go. Jaden Daniels crossing someone over like it is just too easy here. I mean, tonight, the moves he made, the plays he was making with his legs, it was phenomenal to watch. It was unbelievable to watch. I mean, look at this throw to Malik Neighbors. I mean, yes, Jaden Daniels did it all with his feet tonight, but look at this throw to Malik Neighbors. Are you kidding me? Oh my Lord. And then Malik with the control to get that foot in. Are you kidding me? These boys are balling out there, and you saw Malik, screw his back up a bit. Had to get his back worked. And you saw Jaden Daniels get his jaw messed up by Dallas Turner on just an absolutely dirty, ejectable cheap shot that didn't even draw a single flag. Should have been targeting. Nothing. But that pass right there. I mean, I know Jaden Daniels is out of the Heisman race because of this loss. But I won't be forgetting what an incredible season he has had and will continue to have soon at all. This was a brilliant play from Josh Williams. This is when it felt like LSU could win this game. This is when it felt like LSU could really go ahead and win this thing. This is just like the play against Alabama in 2019 where Clyde did that. And Clyde, I swear, like stiff-armed some people. This was even more, I think, brilliant from Josh Williams. The way he just navigates his way around these guys and kind of runs right into Charles Turner's ass. Sends one guy falling on his face. Then Kelly's like, yes. LSU for a time there were absolutely running it through the teeth of Alabama and having success. I mean, look at this right here. Daniels, just see ya. "17" has an easy shot at Jaden Daniels, and Daniels makes him look like an absolute baby wipe, just tossed away. Good Lord, Jaden Daniels. Like, I get it. I get it. Tonight sucked for a lot of reasons, but with defense and all that. My God.
Oh my God. Sometimes you see
Some of the things that we were able to do offensively tonight. Got to be proud of this team offensively. Look at that from Jaden Daniels. It's really pride for Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors. Look at this throw from Daniels. Guts it right through the coverage. But only where Kyron can get that thing down low and away. Oh my God, it's brilliant. And Lacey delivers right there. There's my man Sherman. Getting more camera time. Sherman's always on the camera. He's not trying to, but my God, cameras always following him. This was the touchdown that opened the game. Reminded me of that 2019 bomb from Burrow to Chase a bit. God Lord. It just felt like such good vibes, you know. Defense gets a stop to open the game. We're getting the ball to start the second half. And we're starting off great. But here's the thing. I firmly believe that fourth down decision, what was it on the third drive, second drive? When it was 7-7, and our defense had already had a stop, and we went for it unnecessarily in our own territory. Gives Alabama the ball, they score very quickly, go up 14-7. I feel like that really sends a message to your defense. I don't believe in you. We know we can't win with you. We know we absolutely need to score every time, every possession. And we're going to go for it on any blade of grass in the field, any marking here. We're going to go for it. And it was just a reckless moment where it was like, why are we doing this? You've got to read the game. I love aggressive play calling. I love teams that just like, we're here to win this thing. We're not going to mess around. That's why I loved Kelly going for 2. But when Kelly went for 2, he read the game and he understood, we're going to be trading touchdowns here all night. Let's finish this now. Something might happen defensively. Our defense is gassed. Let's finish this now. We have them where we want them. This was not one of those moments. Why we went for on fourth down there, I have no idea. And it wasn't the right call, throwing it out wide like that, giving them time to get to the ball instead of just running it off tackle, running it off Emery. But our offense also screwed the pooch too. Penalties. The penalties were egregious. They were horribly timed. The dead ball timeouts, the dysfunction at times offensively in that second half, they knew they had all the pressure on them. The drop passes from Mason Taylor and Kyron Lacey, and just some of the dysfunction, it came back to haunt us bad because our defense were already backs against the wall. And once that turnover happened, you knew it was slim to no chance because of that defense. It's a shame. It's a shame. It's exactly what the national analysts wanted. They wanted LSU out of this picture, and now they got it. And it sucks because LSU had a real opportunity here. And maybe the pressure of that opportunity was too big. But we have now thrown away a season in which the second greatest quarterback to ever play at LSU balled out wire to wire, game to game like this. And you couldn't help him out with just the most minimal defensive production, most minimal defensive effort. I don't know who needs to be replaced, what decisions need to be made. That's not my job, but changes have to happen on the defensive side of the ball because this is not good enough, and it hasn't been from day one. But in the context of history, when you have a quarterback that is doing this, when you have these receivers doing what they're doing, this offensive line, for the most part, looking like an absolute Great Wall of China, and you put this much pressure on their shoulders every drive, every play, every game to deliver the utmost when they've already given it to you times a billion, and you're never getting a moment of help from that defense, from the other side of the ball, and the special teams phase is almost non-existent. You're getting nothing from special teams. You're getting nothing from your defense. Alabama started with great field position almost every drive. Kendrick Law, another Louisiana guy we missed on, he's returning those kicks, having great returns every time on LSU. What was his numbers? Because I swear he was returning it for like 20 yards every time, 30 yards every time, like it was a joke. Kendrick Law had 102 total return yards, 77 from the kickoff. Third on the team in total yards. So your defense is missing key guys up front. They're missing key guys on the corners. I actually think the replacements performed somewhat better. And then you're allowing Jalen Milroe to run wherever he wants to. 288 rushing yards. And then you're allowing 11 of 14 on third down. 4 of 4 inside the red zone. And then special teams is letting them start on the 30, on the 40, every drive. How can you defend that? How can you even begin? I mean, how can you stop it when you have nobody to do the stopping? How can you have, where's the speed coming from? Where's the tackles coming from? Omar Spates getting dragged up the middle again and again. Andre Sam missing one tackle after another with just atrocious angles where a play has to be made, a stop has to be made, and no one is there. It's historically bad. It's historically bad from LSU's defense, and we're going to be dissecting that defense in some film study because it has to be exposed. It has to be pointed out. This was among the worst LSU defensive performances I think we've seen because Ole Miss is what it was. But to follow that up against Alabama in a game of this magnitude with that type of lackluster effort, that type of lackluster coaching, it's something else. We're brought to you by ReleafMed, the #1 pain relief headquarters in Louisiana, all natural pain relief, the #1 dispensary in legal Louisiana. We love ReleafMed. We love the people at ReleafMed, great people, but man, this game tonight sucks. And keep your eyes peeled on LSU-Odyssey.com because we have a blockbuster article coming where we are going to unleash. Go Tigers as always, though.